Hello, everyone, and welcome to Occult Media. This is a sacred space where all the weirdos come to create. If you ever consider yourself a starseed, a spiritual creator, or just even an artist, it is our goal to amplify your voice through this beautiful matrix. I'm your host, Candace, and I encourage you to listen and receive today's download and join our community of spiritual weirdos. I have a pleasure of having a beautiful lady that had reached out to me through my TikTok algorithm video that I submitted out to the Matrix and said, hey, if you're one of those individuals that I just mentioned in the intro, please link up with me because I'm looking to interview people in our beautiful Matrix. And our lovely guest, Brittany, was one of the first individuals that actually reached out to me. So I'm really glad for Brittany to be here. Brittany is 23 years old. She is from North Carolina, which I've never been, but I want to really taste her food. I feel like the food would be like super fire to eat, super greasy, but like I feel like it's going to be like a little chef kiss with the food.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, Brittany had fallen in love with astrology back in the year 2020. And with that, she allowed herself to be more spiritual, really tap into the I want to say subconscious energy of how astrology can really relate to the natal chart. And honestly, this is the reason why she and I are here today to really talk about those beautiful things and to talk about the shared placements of musicians and how that really helped her find her in a different, unique way. So without further ado, Brittany, welcome to your episode. You feeling okay? You feeling excited? I'm pretty excited to talk about music, frequency, and astrology with you today.
I know I could scream right now, but I won't. Obviously I feel like it's like seeping out of me right now. I just literally when I'm passionate about something, it's, I talk about it,
You get geeks. You get geeks. You just want to talk about that and spread that energy. And honestly, that's why I wanted to bring the podcast because I love talking. And I want to engage in conversations with other people. This could also be my Libra moon because as a Libra, I rule the 7th house and emotions, right? I just really connect and vibe with people and partnerships in that way. And it really helps me thrive. So me being able to meet individuals that fuck with my energy and they want to talk about cool fucking things, it's pretty fire. So I'm really glad that our energy has matched up and you want to talk about pop culture and astrology, music and frequency. And I think if we can hear your point of view, maybe I would just love to first hear your journey since 2020, right? So that came about you learning more about astrology. What I would love to first, before we even dive into that journey, what actually led you to think about astrology? I think that'd be the first thing. What led you to really dive into that?
Wow, what a loaded question. Realistically, I think I look back in my entire life, I've just been kind of interested in things that were just a little out there maybe.
Okay.
I remember being in 3rd grade and I was always watching those paranormal shows. Scared to death of the idea of ghosts, but obsessed with watching the show, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anything like that really has always interested me. I've always been very aware of anything occult, really anything under the umbrella. Interested, intrigued are all words I'd use. And then I think naturally, just like a lot of other people, in 2020, I got on TikTok and I started, my own algorithm started forming. And I started a lot of astrology stuff and a lot of even the spiritual stuff. I'm I can't believe I saw that then. That should have scared me, probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just started seeing astrology stuff. I think I always use astro.com mainly, and I think it literally says the date that I created, that I did my birth chart. I pulled it up. Yep, December 30th, 2020 was when I created this little guy.
Before the new year. Damn. Okay, that's pretty cool.
And a little side note on that, I think in 2020 that was the conjunction of is it? Oh, I should have checked this. I think it was Saturn and, or I don't know, some sort of big conjunction in the stars, and big awakening type feeling for a lot of people.
Yes. I think at that time it was the Pisces area was kind of closing down of the illusions and whatnot, and then the
Mhm.
Aquarius season of was really developing like the individuality, but also community, us finding our individual selves, but also finding that community that matches our identity was something that was probably very hello. Yeah, it kind of makes a lot of sense for that to happen during that time. So that's probably why with a lot of people that astrology algorithm found you like, oh, do you want to know about this? Of course we do, because we're listening through the phone. So yes, listen to listen to this TikTok. So yeah, that's pretty
Yeah,
cool. So keep going. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go
no,
ahead.
no, you're fine. Just girly talk. I love it. um, I think I've just always I always thought it was like trauma, that made me just want to always find reason. And I just love to know so much. Sagittarius moon. um,
Love that.
yes. And so I just immediately started, looking at my own stuff, Googling, what does this mean? Looking at hashtags on TikTok. So that kind of started. And at the time, I was in the middle of a 6 year long stint with my ex. So really, it started a lot with looking at mine and hers, because we had already been together for 3 years, I think, in 2020.
Okay.
Yeah, we had been together for 3 years, and we had lived together for a year and a half, 2 years at that point. Um, so it was very easy for me to just pick up and start also expanding my own study of it. So yeah, so just kind of started there, and then just trickling and trickling out, as it usually does for anybody who starts looking at birth charts, and then just
Yeah.
gets into the whole world of astrology. So vastly different experience, present moment in the way I look at astrology than I did then. But that's, the growth and just the rabbit hole. I love using the words rabbit hole. I feel like everything I do, I'm going
Just
down a
whole.
rabbit
Sorry, just whole. I have to agree with you because when I started my journey of astrology, I think this was probably like 2018. I just like randomly saw this book on, I think it was like Barnes and Noble, and I was with my two boys. And you know how
hole.
Barnes and Noble has like those random like tables and like those random ass like subjects and stuff. It was
Mhm.
astrology. And there was this like two different sides. It was like one side for sidereal and then one side for tropical. And they were like, which side are you on? And I was like, I don't know, but I want to know too. So my Scorpio was like, well, I want to learn more about Scorpio stuff and like understand what's the difference between the two because I didn't know at the time there was different forms of astrology. I thought it was just like the one typical, which a lot of people think it's just Western astrology and that's it. So I personally chose those two books and I dove into that like a motherfucker. My Mercury is in Libra. So me balancing out and learning from others, trying to come with my own conclusions so I see more centered was very important for me. So me learning what sidereal was and then learning about the tropical, but then diving into the planets and then adding more sprinkles and stuff. I was just like, wow, this is a lot of amazing things that I wish I was told in high school that I wish that was like subjects that you could pick instead of
Yeah,
it being like wood shop and shit. Like who fucking
I
who's
know.
doing who's doing wood shop stuff? No one's doing
I
wood shop stuff. Like I would love to know that.
I literally just read something on Twitter today. I've recently found myself in like astrology Twitter, which is a fun new niche for me to be in. I'm like, yeah, I love Twitter. And now there's Twitter people talking about astrology that I've found. But I literally just read something a few hours ago that was like, this should be like a college course or taught in high school because I mean, one, it's just different people's niches and stuff. But also, it's just really good information.
It's really great information. When for me, my big thing, like during my little spiel, like I was going through my own relationship with my past with my ex, and we were together 2020. So that was 3 years too. How funny is that? So
Yeah.
3 years I was in with that person and things were not going good. And I was trying to understand myself and my own emotions. And that's what kind of led me to really like, well, I want to learn me differently. So why not use astrology in that aspect? So I
Yeah.
used my natal chart to figure it out, what was what does that mean for me? Like, what does it mean to have a Libra moon, and what does that mean to want to know what that emotional connection is? Like, can I have that emotional connection? Is that something that will be um available for me in that aspect? So it was really cool for me to understand that and sense it and to just trust it, because when I really was looking at Libra moon, right, I want balance. It's an air sign, so I need balance from both sides. Like, I need to mentally understand it, and I need to emotionally understand why the fuck this is happening. Otherwise, I'm kind of like lost in the sauce, which has literally been my relationships in the past, where mentally I felt stuck. Like, I'm trying all the best things, like logically I'm doing things right, but it doesn't make sense. But emotionally I'm like, your actions are not, I'm not feeling it, so it's not making sense. So it was like, I need that balance from my person in order, and also for myself to feel aligned. Is that something you learned with your Sagittarius moon, that it was just something you needed to embrace more of?
Yeah, and it's like the more I've always felt that I've had a very good understanding of me. I've had a pretty just like, you know, very crazy life, and I think that I've always felt like that I understood myself, but like now I'm like, wait, there's so much to understand, and it's interesting. I'm gonna be a nerd and read this out of this book. This is Astrology for Lovers. Super cute as a
Ew,
gift.
that's super cute.
But it says the stars correspond to us, reflect us, have a connection with us, but they don't fate us. And I think that's just like a very short and concise, cute way to just, say that. But then also to know, like, I'm not learning new things about myself. These are the ways I operate, and I think and I
Yeah.
feel and I move, and the lens that's on my camera of me. And so it's just very
Mhm.
fun to like do that. And then, if you want to get to know your partners or, your mother or whoever, it's so fun.
It is fun because for me, like, again, it is kind of like understanding, like, it's like putting a name to how you feel and you didn't realize it, and now you're like, okay, now it makes sense why I think the way that I think, or how I
Yeah.
move, or how I want to be loved, and all this, or how I want to experience love, or how my personality is really like out there, and all that kind of stuff. Like, it makes more sense, and to see how it either relates or how it brings in certain conflicts with other people, because maybe you're coming from a place of understanding, but because their sign is the opposite, it may be hard for you to really connect in a way. So it does give out a bigger context of understanding both sides about you already, so that you're not feeling like, huh, like very lost. It gives just like that nice astrology cool aspect to it.
Yeah. Oh, I just lost my train of thought. Yeah, I was gonna say one of those. Have you seen those feeling chart things where you don't just say you're
Yeah.
sad; it breaks it up into like 12 different words, and those words really do hold. Even though they're all sad words, they hold such drastic, different feeling. When you
Hmm.
start to break it apart more and more. So I think it's just kind of in that aspect, like actually, whenever I'm upset, this actually, it really does help if I like scream or set something on fire
Yeah.
or burn something.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty
Yeah.
true to me. Um,
Yeah.
so,
You are a
yeah,
fire signs. I can see that. Yeah.
yeah, it's funny, and I think like with this and like what I kind of want to like open the door with what I want to talk about today and just in general, where I think I kind of want to go with this kind of fun conversation with astrology. I think it's like it looks like a lot. It's so much. It is so much, and people get so scared and they're like, I don't know what any of that means. And I'm like, let's uncomplicate it. Make it
Yeah.
fun, make it easy, lightweight. And if you just want to do something like looking at your favorite musician's birth chart, or you want to maybe talk about the lessons that life has been throwing at you consistently your entire life, and why maybe they're still throwing those lessons at you because maybe you have to work something else out. So,
Hmm.
you know, you can do a lot with it.
Yeah, you really can. Especially the connecting of artists, because for me, I know that one of the big ones you want to talk about today is Drake. And for me and Drake are the same age. He's like a year older than me, but he's also a
Really?
Scorpio like me. So, yeah. So for me, growing up, and I saw him in Degrassi. Like that's how much like I feel like as a person, like I saw him be Jimmy. I saw him
Yes.
be Jimmy in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
I saw him when he first started with Trey Songz and with Lil Wayne, and they were trying to get him all up and trying to break that mold that he was with Jimmy and Degrassi to be like Drake the rapper. And even Drake's not his real name. So it's like a lot of people didn't know that for a while. So it's like
Yeah.
I personally have seen him grown a lot, and I get his aspects of his music because I am a Scorpio and because he's
Mhm.
private like me. So like those aspects like I get it. It's like his music, it hits me in a different way. I'm like, you're speaking to my soul, Drake, because you get
Yes.
it and I get you
Yeah.
get it and I get it. And I'm like, yes, it's cool. So
Yes, and see what I
yeah.
think is so fun about that is like I'm somebody who listens to a bunch of different types of music, but I literally love so much every whatever if it's my favorite album of whatever genre, like I'm gonna love it just as much. But it incites different connection and feeling out of me what I'm listening to, as it does anybody. So I feel that about Drake, and I only share the Scorpio Mars, but I get it. I get it. Well, no. Anyway, we'll get into that. But I actually do share other things. But yeah, so it was so funny when I saw your TikTok. I probably, and honestly, I know you felt this. I just went like, I felt like my whole life was like, go, 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 like go to the, message. And I rewatched the video a few times, but I didn't at first. It was funny. I didn't really like key in on you like repeating the word Scorpio a few times in that TikTok you made. And I was like, oh, well, it's just, a podcast about anything occult. And then oddly enough, that same day, I had just decided that morning to like look at Drake's birth chart. And then I found out all the Scorpio, and I was like, oh, whoa, this is a little like not so
Triangle
coincidental.
here. What is this?
Hold on a second, like, how did this link up? you know?
Scorpio energy. We seem to find a lot of each other. I feel like at least for women, I find like a lot of Scorpio women. When I find Scorpio men, they're like a different breed in my opinion. Like I get it, ladies. Scorpio men are a little bit intense, and Scorpio women are too. But I feel like we're more honest with certain things, where Scorpio men are more that privacy. They really crave that, and
Yeah,
I can definitely see with his chart, because I looked at his charts once too, and I was like, man, you're whoo. No wonder. I mean, for one, you're an artist, so clearly
yeah,
that privacy is important. But at the same time, like, man, like his whole series of albums have literally been about secrecy and like privacy, and but also being exposing like what it is. So it's like this weird thing where it's like that emotional thing, right? As Scorpios, we like to purge and transform all these things. So he's probably going through a lot of emotional transitions to, especially with the different women that he's with, but he also doesn't want to share it. But at the same time, he does, because it probably helps him heal. So it's very cool to see the way that he's able to change that dialogue, right? Like it's pretty cool that he does it that way.
yeah. I mean, we're literally like watching. It's like his medium. Of
Pretty
you know,
much.
yeah. And it's so funny. Like Scorpio being a water sign, being associated with like feminine, masculine, whatever. It's funny then like having Mars and Pluto ruling
Whew.
Scorpio, and kind of just like a little
Mm-hmm.
bit more, not so much masculine, but just like that. I feel like it's like that battle almost. And looking at the rest of his placements, and then like just being as big of just loving Drake since I was a teenager, like I have, I'm like, damn,
Right?
like such a beautiful human, but like you really are on the struggle bus. I put it on my story the other
Yeah.
day. I said, before I had even gone down my rabbit hole, I was like peeking at my rabbit hole, and I put on my Instagram story when I was started talking about Drake and astrology the other day. I said, that meme of like, or, any meme you've seen of like somebody like photoshopping nails and like him crying. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's my Drake. Like that's who he is.
Yeah.
Poor baby.
Yeah, I no, right? I'm about to say he's probably really having a hard time really being, or probably not, probably back then. I feel like now he's starting to really open up that feminine aspect within him. But before, it was very hard for him to really show any sign of femininity, um, to at least the medium of us. Probably in the dark with the ladies, he's probably a little bit more feminine, right? Because he's able to have those relationships. But out to the public, actually being that and showing that, it was probably really hard for him to really do that. Unless until now, like lately, he's been very saying fuck it, which is really nice to see him saying fuck it. It's actually kind of nice.
And it's really interesting. You say like maybe he's like. I mean, we're sitting here like we don't know this man. It's so
we don't know this motherfucker. Like we don't know anything about him. Like this is all speculation. Speculation. That's
probably a little more than speculation, but
touche.
But I think it's like funny and interesting that you did say like almost him maybe like accepting the feminine a little, like the femininity a little bit more, and in the progression of his music, like you see him being a bit more experimental in his music. Later albums with even if it's just like the beat and like the background music, to more vocals and stuff like that. Like, you know, I love some old Drake, don't get me wrong, but like I think if I'm like gonna go to Drake, I'm probably me as a person, a girly. I'm gonna go to like the Take Care album, like for most of like the mood that I'm trying to go to. You know what I mean? Like, because that's more.
It's a great
like,
album.
Yeah, but then it's like, sometimes I'm like, okay, if I really want the like hype music, like I can also find that in his music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so funny.
He's eclectic in different ways, and he knows how to kind of switch it up, which is a good. I feel like again that masculine, that feminine and masculine balance. Like he knows how to really do that in his albums to really give like that hardcore rap for his people, which also he probably wants to explore as well. But then he's also catering to those females because he knows there's a lot of feminines that listen to him and like want to hear his voice and his vocals, because he was singing shit I think since the beginning. I think like his first EP, I have it, and like literally a CD. Like God, it feels so weird saying I have a CD. Like who still has those? But I do. So when his first EP, I remember hearing his vocals like, oh my God, this is Jimmy. Like this is crazy that he's using his voice, and he had to like confirm like this is me singing. It's not someone else like talking about or like, you know, doing the vocals. So it's very cool.
Yeah. And this is like just another part of it. I wonder, you know, the stereotypes of water signs in general to Scorpio, especially like all water signs being like a bit more spiritual or like more in tune with things. I wonder, like through going through some of his lyrics and stuff like that, and you know, the stereotype of like, well, I mean, it is like true, like how calculating like Scorpios are. I wonder how calculated this guy really is. Like, I wonder, you know, with his music, and I was thinking about even on Sicko Mode, where everybody, you know, was like, is he talking about going to Kim K's house? I was like,
right?
Wow, he's such Scorpio, such Scorpio.
Calculated. He's really quiet with his lyrics. Like if you like, I'm a kind of, okay, so this is me. Like I love music. I am a clairaudient. Like that is mostly like my biggest my psychic gift. By the way, everyone's psychic. Everyone has a gift. It's just a matter which gift is more powerful. Okay, I just want to put that out there. So for me, clairaudient is very more heavy, and my spiritual counsel sends me music. But personally, when I'm listening to music, it's a beat thing. And then if the beat and frequency is not cool, like I can sense like the energy that they're putting behind it. Because you can tell with certain energies, it's a little like, whoa, like what is this? Like your intention is something different than what I'm hearing. But also at the same time, it's the words. And I have a tendency to listen to I don't know for you, but it's like I slow down the words as it's coming into my ear so I can actually hear the words and know what is actually being told to me. And it's through a lot of music, especially his, that I have caught a lot of like sprinkles in there that it's just like, whoa, if I wasn't really listening and I was just like going with the beat and like not really catching to what he was saying, I really wouldn't fucking know that he's talking about Kim K. Or he's talking about, you know, his baby mama, or like have certain things. Like he's saying it, but he's not saying it. He's very, like you said, calculated a little bit. He understands how to say things in a very articulate way with his words that blends very well to the beat, to where it's very
Yeah.
hidden, but at the same time, it's not hidden. So it's very
Oh, so
cool.
right. That's so beautiful because I definitely figuring out some, stuff, spiritually and, because I started a relationship with tarot this summer, all these different things, whatever. So, but music is also like I almost it's not always, but it's like sometimes my shuffle of like my just all my liked songs, I swear that's like me shuffling my tarot deck on a day-to-day basis
Oh
when I get
yeah,
in
that's
my car.
a gift, by the way. That's a divination tool.
Yeah,
I do it all the time. Like, Spirit Family, what do you want me to hear? Boop, and I'll be like, shuffle. What's up?
yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
so doing that especially, but it's so funny. I think in some sort of like, especially just very personally when you're connecting, maybe you're looking up a celebrity's birth chart and you're connecting your placements and stuff. Um, Also think about like specific for the music, at least a lot of Drake's music is about relationships for the most part, you know what I mean? Just especially like with women, and those love and lost and what comes from that. I've been going through a really hard breakup this year. We were together a long time, and that's like something I'm like, oh, I why did that hit different when that went in my head, like in my ear that time? I'm
Yep.
like, I
Yeah.
understand him. I'm like,
The
damn.
context is so different. It's
Yeah, I'm like,
deeper.
yeah. And then after looking at his birth chart, knowing he's a Leo rising like I am, I'm like, shit, dude. Like we have a lot of the same lenses. I get it. I get it.
I get it.
I'm like, damn. It's a little different now, don't it?
It hits different when you can see that and recognize it, especially his Leo rise. I mean, come on, that literally screams, come on now, like fire,
Yes.
creativity, actorist.
Mhm.
I'm the center of attention, but I want that quietness, but I really like it. That again, that duality with him, with that masculine but feminine, and still being able to tap in is
Yeah.
very heavy, very heavy.
Yeah,
It's super cool.
I think there was something I read about, or anyway, in my own head, like mainly talking about like his Scorpio placements, which he's a Scorpio. Let's pull it up and look back at it. He's a Scorpio sun, so like I knew that already. And then he's a Cancer moon, Scorpio Mercury, Venus, and he's got a Scorpio Pluto and the Leo rising. I thought those were all just like really big players here. The
Such
Aquarius
huge
Mars.
players.
Yeah. But the Scorpio, like all that Scorpio energy with the Leo rising, where I relate and come in, and especially in a sense of like the idealism and like especially Scorpio placement, like if we're gonna attach to something and really like, you know, if we want it, we're gonna go get it. That's like Scorpio and Leo to me. Like, but when you want it and you're gonna go get it, it's very intense. So everybody else better be on the same page. And if you're not, or you screw me over, God forbid. And
Facts.
then you know what I mean? Like, so
It's
I
God
get
forbid.
it.
Pay attention. You better hold on, buckle up, Buttercup, because it's gonna be intense.
So it's so funny, and I think relating back to like, whether you know a lot about astrology, maybe your friend who does or who is into astrology sent you your birth chart one time, or maybe a little bit. You're at a place like you or I are at, whatever. Just looking and seeing that, hey, I really like to listen to Drake, and I know what feelings it brings up out of me, and then I'm like, oh, it's really really intense, and then just being able without even really knowing like what a Mars and Scorpio means or what a Leo rising is. Without knowing any of that, the connection is there. Like the feeling. You can feel that and understand that without having to like textbook know a bunch of stuff. So I think that's what makes like this kind of exercise fun too. But yeah, it's real. I've been on a kick thinking about Drake for like the past like week and a half.
It's pretty crazy.
It's
I like his energy. I also like Janae. I personally looked into just like a side note, like for my other business, Subconscious Moon, at one point I was doing moon chart readings and I was looking at celebrities' moons and like
Mm-hmm.
seeing like how it relates to their music because it's all feminine and they're obviously being very attuned to their emotions in some way with their creativity. And then I think, don't quote me, I think she has a Pisces moon, so it makes really big sense about how she feels like she's an alien. Well, not feels. She knows she's an alien. She's a
It's so
star seed.
she's all Pisces, by the way. She's like,
Yeah, I think she literally is all like water, fluid, weird, eclectic, intuition. Like that's
yeah,
how she's been able to really like even her music has a lot of frequency to it. A lot of her music, she makes sure is that the frequency aspect of it is really deep within. And I think it's so cool. And I really her words have helped me a lot through a lot of transitions that I was going through. But when I listen back, it's like, okay, it hits different now that I know her own chart too, because she's coming from a place of really trying to heal it in a different way, especially her addictions and all this other stuff. So it's pretty cool to kind of connect those barriers. But I do love Janae. Like her voice is just fire. It's just beautiful.
mhm. That's I did think of like a few other people I was gonna like just kind of point out just for funsies, but I do love like thinking of her birth chart and her music. It is just so like perfectly personified and like laid out, like a beautiful little buffet. I'm like,
It's like a symphony. Like when I think about her art and the way she does music, it literally is like a symphony. Like she takes time to get those sound bowls. She does everything, like making sure that the frequencies matching, the words are matching. It's actually like I've seen her do like a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and it's like wow, like this girl is an artist to the
yeah,
way that she wants to make sure that that musical frequency hits right for the person listening, which it's
mhm.
nice when you hear an artist actually taking that time to make sure that whatever you're listening and hearing, I'm making sure it fits you in some way.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think you said you were talking earlier about sometimes it's like I can tell the intention like you went into this song with and kind of like I don't know, and I think just me being a little bit more sensitive, like there are songs in my playlist that I listen to every day, and then some days I'm like, this is like it's not even loud, it's too loud. Like something is like off,
Hmm.
energetically. So I think, especially if you pick up on stuff like that, this is even more so something fun for you to just especially your favorite artist. Like, oh well,
Yeah.
when somebody passed away, what was the artist that like helped you through? Well, why don't you go look at their birth chart and maybe you have or haven't already looked at yours, but then, maybe there's just connection and relation. It's so sweet.
I bet there is. I mean, everyone's birth chart, natal chart is different. Everyone doesn't have the same thing. However, if you are connecting to certain people, especially music, 9 times out of 10, you probably have something that's related to their natal chart. That's why you're fucking with them in that way. You're like,
Mm-hmm.
I get why you can I get why your music hits me in a different way because I can see it
Yeah.
now in a chart wise, astrology wise. Now I can pinpoint why it hit me to my soul the way that it did.
Yeah. And I think like getting back, just like Scorpio, very misunderstood by themselves and the whole world type of placement. It's funny just going back to like your TikTok and meeting you and everything, and then like just the word Scorpio. And I honestly, it's funny, and the entire time I've been interested in astrology, it's almost like I've gotten a really close look at certain placements throughout certain periods of time. This summer, for a few different reasons, for whoever may listen to this, that knows me, I have been really like learning maybe more up close about Capricorn and Scorpio, for a few different reasons, a few different people in my life, but through knowing, especially like with Drake and the Scorpio placements and thinking of my own connection, I can think of 3 people in my head right now that I know personally that really like share that same, like they're the people that I get in the car and we put on Drake together. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, oh, well, it's connected for you too. My roommate's got a Scorpio moon, and every day I've been like, hey, so don't you think this lyric fits it too? I'm like, now I understand y'all, me, Drake, Scorpio, all a little better.
I like that. Can I ask you, when you do your natal chart, which kind of astrology do you actually follow? I'm kind of
Um,
curious.
so I just go to like astro.com and I use like just do Western astrology, and I sometimes like I'll look at like whole sign or like the like everything, like I'll kind of do differently, but most of the time it's just like whatever system I'm using pulls it up, I'll do that, like whether it's one of the apps I use. Um because I know some people really get into like the very like minor, not minor, but very big details, you know? Whereas I think like it's easier for me to be really panned out first and get a really good like understanding and then maybe go in deeper. Um, so yeah, but I know like the person
Okay.
who got me into astrology, she recently just started getting into like Vedic astrology and just like starting to learn about that. Um, but getting back to that sense of like there's so much to it, and even though like I've been kind of learning it for 2 years, I'm like I don't know everything. So like certain things like
Oh,
that,
fuck yeah.
I'm
There's
like
so
I'm like
much to learn.
I don't know which one is better. I don't know. Maybe let's just not talk about that right now.
Yeah. No, like I get it because, it's so broad. There's so many, like literally, it's like a needle in a haystack. It's all going to be different.
Hmm.
And then there's other sides to it and there's other levels to it. And then it just adds in more context, and it can be overwhelming for a lot of people. And I like to just dummy it down, like be the as much easy as possible way, because although I could dive into it, I'm definitely not an astrologer. I definitely did not get
Yeah.
certified. I definitely did not go to no classes. This is something that I just like to do for myself. I
Yeah.
personally love my natal chart. I do sidereal astrology because I just felt like my natal chart resonated way more, like how I felt, like my mannerisms matched more with the sidereal than the Western. But
Mhm.
then lately, I've been really diving into my progressed natal chart, to where I'm learning like where my energy is now today than what I was born with. And even that makes a lot of sense too, because, let me pull it up for you. And you
Yeah.
tell me if this makes sense. Let me pull it up for you.
I
Because when
don't
I
think
saw
I've
that, I was like,
looked at my progress chart.
what'd you say?
So I don't think I've ever looked at my progress chart. I mean, I probably have at some point, but
You
never like
should definitely
it's.
do that.
I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like the Aries.
Well, you're still learning. Like for me, I was still learning, like, and I was like, I don't want to add more. Like, shit, I'm still trying to understand the shit I just found out. Like, that shit's intense. Now you want me to learn my progress chart? And
Mhm.
this is only coming from my own spiritual family. They're like, yo, you need to learn like what's going on with you now. Like, yes, you know your shit when you were born, but like now, like, how is your energy? And I'm
That's
like,
right
I
when
don't know. And they're like, just fucking look. Okay,
yeah.
so here's my top three. Well, I could just say a lot of it because it's a lot of Sagittarius. This is probably another reason why we actually linked up. So I have a Sagittarius sun, my Capricorn moon, Cancer rising, Mercury in Sagittarius, Venus in Capricorn, Mars in Libra, my Jupiter's in Pisces, my Saturn is in Sagittarius, my Uranus is in Sagittarius, my Neptune is in Sagittarius, my Pluto is in Libra.
That's much for you.
Oh my God, it's so much, like so much Sagittarius, which makes a lot of sense though, because with me doing a lot of knowledge and bringing people together and like building a community, and I want to like explore and like add people in, it seems like very making sense, especially with the Capricorn moon, where I just want to focus on my coin and like attract and like be focused with my emotions. And I'm just like, okay, that makes sense. It's a little scary how much that made sense.
Yeah.
But it's also like, damn, okay, so then how do I use that for my advantage? If this is my natal chart now, I know it's not going to stay forever. So how can I amplify that to my best knowledge? And I think that's what's been kind of cool, like kind of going back and be like, how does this resonate right now in my present day? It matters a lot because like I'm finding people, and it's just fire energy that I'm creating, and it just feels very aligned lately. Like, okay,
Mhm.
I get why the Sag and Capricorn energy is really intense for me right now, but it's a good intense.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna look at that later. Um, yeah, that's the thing that's so fun, and that's you know going back to why I started looking at my own natal chart and getting into the language of astrology and studying it was really just, I was like, well, I want to know more about why I am the way I am. And I want to know why, my friends or my family or whatever I choose to, now I know that I pulled up a chart for us talking the other night. Oh,
so you pulled up our chart today for today's comment. I would love to hear this.
yes. So I didn't pull it up for today, but we could do that in just a second. I did a chart for when I messaged you on Instagram.
Okay.
Which I don't know. I'm not really gonna make too much just because this is like so important to me, you know what I mean? But I did message a friend, the person who got me into astrology, and I was like, what do you think about this? Haven't heard back. But let's see. Okay. So I think it was like 9:45, 10 or something like that at night that I messaged you.
I think so.
Well, for me it was, yeah. That, by the way, we were struggling. I was struggling trying to get that first interview with you. I sat here.
I'm blaming it on Mercury, man. I'm blaming it on Mercury. Oh, Technology was insane that day. It's okay.
Cool. So real. But
for context, everyone, it was a time mix up for us. Like, I'm in Mountain, and what time frame are you in?
Just Eastern, yeah.
Eastern. So she's basically like 2-3 hours away from me. So it was a very like time difference thing, and that's what caused like an issue, because I was like waiting. I was like, what happened? I was like, she was so amped up. I'm amped up. What's going on? The energy's weird. So I normally never message anyone, because I'm like, oh, you missed it. Like, that's kind of like my energy. Like, oh, well, I'm going on to the next, like, whatever. But I was just like, no, I like her energy. And I sent her a voicemail. I was like, Brittany, what happened, man? Like, I'm waiting here. Like, I want to talk to you.
I'm like flagging down
the energy was fire between you and I. Like, what happened? And she's like, what? I was just like, okay, well then come on. I'm waiting. Come on. I'm ready right here. So it's just funny.
This is our chart. So this is just like on astro.com, Placidus, like house system and everything. Virgo sun, Aries moon, which I figured because I just so quickly jumped and dived headfirst. And yeah, so anyway, Libra Mercury, Virgo Venus, Gemini Mars, Aries Jupiter, Saturn and Aquarius, so on and so forth. And so big three, we've got Virgo sun, Aries moon, Taurus rising. She seems good.
She seems pretty grounded and fiery, like that's it, which sounds really nice, because it was like, you know what I'll say? It was because I feel like my Virgo and you're like, you were like so excited, and I was like, just breathe. And you're like, no. I'm just like, I'm okay. And I'm like, no, you're good. I need you to relax. And you were like, I got you. I was like, I got you, man. Like, it's the Virgo within me. Uh-oh. Are we still here? We're still here. Okay. So what I was saying was that I told her, was like, she's so fiery. She's so fiery with her words. And I was like, it's okay. Like, calm down. So I feel like that's the fire aspect was you. And then the earthy of me was just like, it's okay. I got you. Like, breathe. Even like, setting up, she was a little anxious about today. I was like, I got you. Just get your crystals, girl. We're going to be all right. Like, this is just a girlfriend conversation that we just happen to be recording. It's okay. I got you. So I could see that energy, a lot of earth, but fire. Yeah. Duality right there. I like that energy.
I was like, that's cute. That's cute.
That's very cute. I kind of want to know what today is now that we're actually recording. Are you looking at it right now?
Yeah, let's look it up.
Let's look it up. Because that's pretty, I want to know.
So should I do it for 6 o'clock today? Yeah,
that's fine.
All right. Plug this.
I don't know if you can hear it on my side of the land. There's so much. It's raining right now.
Oh no! Yeah, no.
I'm like, I don't know if she could hear any of this, but it sounds pretty cool to me.
All right. Let's see. So today's date is the 21st of September. I'll tell you what grounds me in this whole, obviously your energy, very amazing, beautiful.
Thank you.
But just being able to so comfortably talk about anything to do with this, spirituality, astrology, just talking about weird stuff. That is grounding right now for somebody who just like feels like they're always head in the clouds being crazy. I'm like, no, this is a very safe space.
It's very safe space. I told you this. That's the vibe I want for Occult Media. Like a place for us weirdos to just come together and just collaborate. However that collaboration is, I just want us to just be ourselves and not feel like you have to put on a mask, because that's probably what we have to do 9 times out of 10 throughout this fucking matrix anyway. So could we please not put on another mask? Like I just want us to just come together and be fucking weird together. It's cool to be weird.
Ooh, okay, so since it's literally like a week out, we've got a lot of like same placements. Big 3 this time. Virgo sun, Leo moon, Pisces rising. Cute. I mean,
I love that combo.
Yes.
I love that combo.
And it's interesting. So just, I don't know, looking at it, it's interesting, like from the other day to now, like, I'm not going to get into all that. But yeah, so same Libra Mercury at a 1 degree. I don't know exactly what 1 degree is, but I know that that's important. So I'll look at that later. But yeah, so cute. Very balanced chart. You just look at the little table down there. Pretty.
Oh, it is pretty balanced.
Yeah.
That is pretty balanced.
Yeah.
Purr. Because it feels very relaxed right now. It doesn't feel chaotic. It didn't when we started either. It felt like when we pushed record, you felt very relaxed immediately. So it was kind of nice to, do it in that kind of way. I think the last topic I definitely want to talk to you about is music and words and the frequency of that. And I know you said that you've been dabbling into your spirituality and how that's been able to help you connect in different ways. Have you realized or have you sensed any form of like words associations that you're noticing that doesn't match with you spiritually now? That will also correlate to maybe some music that you don't really fuck with anymore, if that makes sense. Like for me, I'll give you an example. For me, I used to really love like rap and like all this other stuff. And there's moments where I can listen to it. But lately, ever since I started my own awakening 5 years ago, like the kind of music that really finds me all the time is like lo-fi. And I love lo-fi and how like it's calming and relaxing. I also like listening to like the chakras, like the healing frequency tones. I also fuck with Jupiter frequency tone as well as brown noise. Like those things really help me relax in a different way. But also because I do like rap or like R&B or country, because I grew up in Alaska, so I'm very eclectic with my music. It's not like one way. Like I listen to a lot of stuff, but I personally like to shuffle like Spotify. I like to personally shuffle like my own thing. And again, I feel like my own spiritual family's like, let me just send you some random songs that may not be what you normally would listen to, but it will help you kind of relax and get in that context of maybe what you're looking for as an answer, like the words within this song and the frequency is going to help you heal. So have you seen or felt any of that connection ever since you've been kind of, diving into your spirituality?
I feel like one thing you did, just off the top of my head, what I want to say first, you said something along the lines of this earlier. It's almost like, when I'm, music that I've always listened to, or maybe it's new, like I have the first in my head, the process of what they're actually saying. But it's like sometimes I'm like tuning into like a background noise that I never heard before. Like I'm like,
yeah,
and I do listen to like a lot of frequencies, and I have Spotify, so like if I'm working, cleaning sometimes, just kind of the mood I'm in. Sometimes I put on like frequencies, sleep meditation, stuff like that.
Ditto.
So it's almost like, am I like training myself to pick up on this like one noise, like this one frequency? Because I'm like, how am I hearing that right now? Like it's so interesting. But I think that I'm kind of lost in what I initially was going to like cluster up and say here. But I think that as a person with like a lot of like just a very fire dominant chart, I generally like love very like loud music, like very just like whether that's like Pierce the Veil or like a Drake song, you know what I mean? So generally, but it's like sometimes my it's like almost like when I'm listening to it, I'm like, this is not what I'm supposed to be listening to right now. Like I need to switch the vibe because it's not something I need to like honor in the balance that the music helps me do in the moment, whether I'm just like emotionally high or whatever. And it's almost like, and so you know, this is something I'm really like glad I met you for other reasons, you know what I mean, too, because I don't have anybody to really like, I don't know, every time I discover something about myself, if I haven't already heard it from somebody else, I'm like, I must be crazy. but like, okay, so I shuffle I shuffle my Spotify all the time. I do have a relationship with like, you know, my tarot and everything. And it's like, sometimes like I'll go click on a random album and go back to my liked playlist. And I'm like, what do I need to hear right now? And it happens.
Yeah.
And what's so weird, so I don't know if this is like, I don't know how this is happening. My liked playlist is just all my likes since I've had it since 16, you know, and very widely different music in there. And there's a new thing on Spotify where you can enhance and it'll add music. I don't have that on there, but sometimes when I shuffle, I swear to God, I'll catch a song that is not on my playlist pop up. And the biggest one that I know, like, one time I caught one, and this was when I was like peak dealing with some shit with my ex in this, you know, past couple of months, and I was angry and I didn't catch what it looked like. So I never knew that song, but the Drake song Successful, actually, I know that song. It's not a song that I listen to often. I do now. Because I'm working on a lot of that, you know, just like up leveling my life in so many different aspects. And that song was not on my playlist. It was not. And, you know, in this relation here, I am talking about Drake and astrology with you, trying to work on what I want to do in life. And then that song, just like one day, I just barely saw it go across, and I was like, that's not on my liked. I'm getting like weird, like talking about it. And then it's like I'm listening
Don't
to
get
it.
weird, because that's like, to me, I'm like, that's a spiritual, that's like your family coming through and be like, you need to hear that.
It definitely is. It definitely
you know?
is. And that was like that was probably like a month ago. And that song, it's like, it's almost like, it just like, I feel like, and it's, you know, talking about being successful. And that is like what I am working on hard right now, and really trying to build and grow. And so that was just a very, like, very plain out thing. I was like, it won't in my likes, but now it is. That was really weird. And I guess I really needed to hear that. So that's cool. But yeah, no, I do that all the time. Like, especially like, this is kind of random, not super random, obviously, in what we're talking about here. But I definitely think that I almost like sometimes hear stuff in music that I need, that I'm definitely not hearing it for myself almost. It's like I feel like there are key people in my life, and I'm like, I feel like they're on my shoulder all of a sudden when that song comes on. And I'm like, I shuffled and I hit this, and now I'm tapping into your energy, like my ex and things like that. I'm like, so I feel like even on a spiritual musical note, it's like I communicate through music, but it's also, it's not just like my spirit team and my angels communicating with me.
It's your higher self telling you, you need to hear this.
Yeah. And then it's like, sometimes like I think, I don't know, like I feel like I'm like, I don't know, like, you would put this song on, you know, X person in my head. And like, you know, I never put this song and it never comes on shuffle, you know? So interesting.
I love it. I mean, again, because since I'm clairaudient, to me, like when I hear those things or when it happens, it really is like either they're thinking of me, so then I'm energetically connecting to them and their energy, even though I don't want to, and I set the blockages, that feeling, that it's kind of like a spidey sense feeling that this is them wanting me to hear it, or it's me needing to understand about them a little bit differently, or maybe I understand myself in this relationship a little bit differently so that I'm not thinking about them. Like the words in the song will help me understand about them right now. As happened to me a lot with like friends and my ex, myself, and it was very weird to randomly hear things, even though you don't want to hear it. It comes through in a way that it allows you kind of get some more context. Like maybe this is how they're feeling, and then I'm like, well, I don't give a shit. Like, why do I need to know about how they're feeling? Like, I'm good. But then at the same time, I was like, well, at least they're healing, or maybe they need to like do their own stuff. So it's good to hear that maybe they're doing it right, but at the same time, my
Yeah.
energy in itself is not trying to align to them in that way, to think about them, to then manifest songs so that I can remember about them, if that makes sense.
And I wonder, like, if you connect to this, you know, hearing, like I was talking about hearing a different, beat in the background of a song, but it's like almost my ears aren't like, if there's music going, it's not like your ears are really processing, the whole song in its entirety. You're doing other things. Maybe you're cleaning or, cooking or whatever. But then it's like when you do all of a sudden tap in, it's like, oh, I needed to hear that.
Yeah.
I was going to give an example. Listening to Drake, honestly, so much the last week since we first talked, just because I was trying to, find some different lyrics and stuff that I thought maybe like, personified Scorpio, Leo energy more. And actually this morning, very Mercury retrograde things, my ex calls me today, have not talked to her, and I look up and Miss Me by Drake was on on my TV. I have my like Spotify on my TV. And I was like, and then, that's not a song, I do. Off of the Thank Me Later album, there are a few songs that I listen to. Like, I'm not just like, I don't, some people just like really don't listen to older music of somebody, but I don't really listen to Miss Me. So then I was like, and there was a lyric, and I was just like, I literally screamed. I was like, what the hell? And that was just like on that note of like,
the connection sometimes is a little too surreal, especially if you're allowing those connections to be developed, especially now too with Mercury being retrograde in the sign of Libra. It's like those past relationships and the communication flow, really fixing it or, mending it or trying to do whatever. It's really there, but it's also like in the context of like, do I want it there? Is this something I want? Because retrogrades are all about what are you learning from the lesson? It's just a lesson time. Mercury's just saying, okay, this is you to just learn what happened. And if you're getting it, okay. If not, repeat. You're going to repeat it again. And you don't really fully get the lesson here. So it's very interesting to hear that will pull up with the song and Miss Me.
Yes.
I mean,
and so the lyric, I've definitely heard the song a couple of times, but I've never really like listened to it. But just the I know things have changed. Oh, and let me say this first. My ex also has a Scorpio Mars and a Leo rising. So definitely big Drake fan like me. Then the connection even more. But I know things have changed. No, I used to be around more, but you should miss me a little when I'm gone. I just hope that you miss me a little when I'm gone. I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm doing my own drink today. Get out of here.
Facts. No, I totally get that. It's like, come on now, get out of here. Let that bull mess. Like, get out of here. Stop trying to send me subliminals through my music. We listen to the same stuff. Stop it. Like, get out of here. That's facts. I get that. I get 1,000%. I get what you're saying. It's hard, when you're, especially for like music seems to be very important for you. Like it is for me. It's very like a way for me to not only do downtime, but just to connect and heal my emotions. It's like the shadow work helps you purge out a lot more things by hearing music. It helps you stay focused. It kind of gives you that motivation. Especially that higher self kind of feel. Like if you're, you said you're building yourself to be something more, you want more, and you're, focusing, you're having that attention and drive to do more. So like that successful energy, like that boss woman mentality, music comes through a little bit more. It definitely is, it's funny how our gifts can then attract that same kind of music because that's what we need to hear. But it's also
Mhm.
like, do I need to hear it? Sometimes they're a little discernment, like, do I need to hear it though? Like, I
Yeah.
don't need to hear it. Like, they may need to hear it, but I don't need to hear it. Like, that's might
Yeah.
be what they thinking about me, but I'm on a whole nother level. Like, don't put
Yeah.
me in that
So,
same box. Please and thank
this
you.
whole, if you want to go look at, your birth chart and, your favorite musicians or celebrities, then that just like adds to, that connection. If you're already like a person who really, whether you listen to music, just you've always just listened to a lot of music, or maybe you're kind of more in tune spiritually with music and it, plays a bigger role like that, whatever role it plays, and I was thinking even this type of thing, I guess people could look at like painters and stuff, I mean, essentially any sort of artist who
Yeah.
puts, feeling and intent behind whatever medium they choose. I guess essentially here you could make those connections with anything.
Absolutely. I had Peachka on yesterday, and Peachka did her manifestation music, and she was telling me that she made that song back in February, but she didn't release it until September of last year. So for about 7 months, she was just really utilizing her download to create those manifestations to see if it's actually real. Can my words of a download actually manifest into something really beautiful for me? Because if this is a song and I'm saying this as an affirmation song, I want to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that it has that magic behind it. Like, is it real? And then she posted it on in September, and then you hear everyone playing her manifestation song, and that's how she really blew up from, you know, having her first EP and not really knowing what to do because of her own things of her partner at the time and all the other chaotic stuff that she was going through. So it's very interesting to know like how people can use, right, your mediums. Again, as an artist, you have different forms of mediums, whether it's like you having your painting or maybe your bullet journaling and you know how to really art in your bullet journal, or maybe you do use music and having words of affirmation that matches that. So it's a very beautiful way to connect to that frequency and to see if that frequency is really like what you really need, or is it helping other people, or maybe it's both. Who knows? But you got to really kind of trust that frequency or that medium that you're using to really develop your art the way that it connects to you. So I think that's very
Yeah. I think it's
spiritually artist way, you know. It's very
yeah,
beautiful.
you kind of like you brought this up a few minutes ago too. It's interesting. And I did check her out. Yes, was it yesterday you had Peachka on your story?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like checking out her stuff,
Yeah.
listening to her a little bit. Amazing. But really when you do look at like the lyricism in music, like there is a time where like I might just, put on like I could put on the Gummy Bears song if I wanted to. If that was going to turn me up for going out for drinks with my girlies, then so be it. But,
Yeah.
if, when you really look at the lyrics and when you're singing along, and maybe you're not opening your mouth and singing, but you're going along in your head, it's playing in your head, you got to pay attention to the words too. You do.
Yeah.
And I think speaking on like Janae and Drake, I think that in different ways. They both have very affirming music. Janae just with like the beautiful, just like everything. You know what I mean? Like she's just
Yeah.
everything, just beautiful, everything. And then like Drake, I think like it's just like because I'm a Leo rising, I see that kind of lens of like I want everybody to be great and I want to be really great, that kind of thing. I think that shows up a lot in his music, which is probably why that like because yeah, some of the stuff he says, I'm like, that's come out my mouth before, probably. So when you pay attention to the
If not the
lyrics,
mouth, then you probably thought it though. You know,
yeah,
like if it hasn't come out, you intuitively was like, I felt that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So paying attention to that and knowing, then you add and you compound onto that connection and relation, all that. It's so much fun.
It is a lot of fun. Um, I just really love that we've been talking about music and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be it. I think this is gonna be the end of the episode. I think we talked a lot about music, frequency, Drake, pop culture, astrology, natal charts. Like this has been a beautiful, like good hour of us chit chatting about just that. I mean,
Yeah.
listening to music and how you can connect to your artist in a way, especially if you're looking at their natal chart. It's going to be more beautiful intertwined. So if you haven't checked that out, please do, or at least try to see like what your favorite artist like top 3 is and see why you may have connected to that in your own natal chart. You probably will be connecting a lot of dots that you didn't really think about. But at the same time, now that you're thinking about it, you're like, that fucking makes sense. So I bet you guys would probably do that. So I would love, just for everyone listening, if you are hearing this right now, I would love to hear what is your favorite artist down in the comments. And if you have tried out looking at their thing, and if not, are you willing to go look at it to see if there is a connection between the people you listen to and your own natal chart? Brittany, my love, thank you so much for being here today. Please allow everyone, before we leave, please, I actually kind of want to shuffle a card just because I love shuffling tarot. So while I'm shuffling tarot, would you like to tell everyone where they can find you if they would like to link up with you?
Yeah, so I am currently basically figuring out a lot of life shit. Jumped on this opportunity because I couldn't pass it up in the meantime. But social media right now, I my Instagram is happily BK. It's just my personal Instagram, but I talk a lot of astrology, and I think that I'm like definitely, which is something that I'm really glad I met you, Candace. I do want to work with you because realistically, like I do want to start my own podcast, and I just kind of been
And
thinking, with how I ended up linking up with you and where I'm at now. I think that a really fun niche to carve out would be like music and astrology. I love to just look at a bunch of stuff. I went to Reddit and Twitter, tried to type in some buzzwords, Drake, Scorpio stellium. Nobody's really talking about it. I'm like, I could talk about that. So that'll be something that I'm going to be working on. So that'll be kind of like a stay tuned. But
stay
yeah,
tuned,
so
everyone. I'm cool with
yeah.
that. Absolutely. I told you, girl, whenever you're ready, I told you I would help. I would love to help curate anything that you do,
Yeah,
especially in the podcast world, because I love this forte and just like allowing people
yeah,
to talk about things in the way that they want to talk about. And I can see you doing that. Like, every week you go into someone else's chart and you try to see like the music and the lyrics and the connection. Like, I can see that
yeah.
being like a very
I
cool
thought about
show.
doing like a
Um,
Spotify playlist attached too. Like
yeah,
all those things that are,
absolutely.
Yeah, so big
Mm-hmm.
things in my head that are in the
Yeah.
works.
No, that's good because look, the card that came out, or this is okay, this is the card at the bottom of the deck. It's the Two of Wands. So I absolutely feel that for you. Like the things that you're thinking about is long term stuff. Things that you really want. They're gonna be the passion that really connects and it's gonna make you feel more aligned. You have 3 cards, or at least three cards that came out for everyone. Okay. So the first card that came out is the Seven of Wands. Don't be your own blocker. If you want something, anyone, if you're trying to intuitively connect to the thing that you want, please don't be your own self sabotager. Let go of people and things that don't resonate and follow through what feels good to you. The second card that came out is the Knight of Pentacles. And this is the slowest knight out of all 4 of them because he's the one really preparing and tending and getting all the supplies needed for this pentacle to work so that he can give it to the Queen of Pentacles, which is more nourishing, motherly, watering, like really tending to that particular coin. So this is slow moving. It's not fast paced. So if you really have this Two of Wands energy of what you want to create, it may take some momentum and time to build that. But ultimately, the more you're putting energy behind that, the more it's growing to the way you want it to, not necessarily how other people want it to. And your third card, you got the Ace of Cups. So this is just like love that's coming out of it because you're putting energy into something you love. You're going to get so much love back. And I feel that for everyone listening to this because I'm always going to be a firm believer by you following your own heart, you really align yourself to beautiful things. I mean, even this, right? Like me following my own heart to make Occult Media, to say that TikTok, for them to find you, for you to sit there and say, I'm going to try this because this feels aligned to me in some way. I feel like, yes, she's going to help me, or this is going to be a fun experience. Like, this is what I wanted to see. Is it something I could do? And I just feel like that alignment was very beautiful. It's very beautiful. So,
So appreciative.
yeah.
to you, and it really is so beautiful. And I've just always been like, nothing's a coincidence, and it's really not.
Hell yeah.
This is so meant
It's
to be.
it's so meant to be, boo.
I
It's so
really
meant to
enjoyed
be.
talking to you, and thank you for opening up this amazing space. Because it's beautiful and it's amazing.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I
no
hope at
problem.
least
See, I'm just beginning.
and maybe I'm like I really like talking to her. What else can I talk about?
Open. I'm an open book girl. My Chiron is in Gemini, so like I have to talk and heal. Like it is something that I help do with other people, including myself. So it's like it's a healing thing for me. Like when I do it, it helps other people, and it just branches out. And like that community base is like what I strive for. And I'm not gonna lie, every single time I look up, in some capacity, I've seen some angel numbers today when we were talking. I've seen 111. Like I'm like 444. I'm like, this is a fire fucking episode. I just didn't say anything, but I was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, no,
I see you, universe.
That's because you're looking at the ones with me. I was like, hello. But I wanted to ask you. I'm thinking about it. Because you said Gemini. I attune like my open book and just talking to all my Aries placements. I could just, you can ask me anything. I'll tell you my whole life story. But the Mars and Gemini transit right now, it's stationed in my 11th house of just like, I don't know, like I'm supposed to be like this talking to people and like, this is amazing. Do you know where it's at in your chart right now?
I do not, actually. But I do know from my own family, me looking at it, because my Virgo rising, Virgo is ruled by Mercury. So especially during Virgo new moon, it was a very good time for me to write out my manifestations. And because Gemini Mars was in that same transit, it was like, just write it all out. This is what you want, speak it into existence, be in alignment to that. And that really helped me kind of get more clarity of what I wanted and how I wanted it to go. In a thought process way. Like you can have your vision, right? But it's really like, what are your thoughts and how's it really connecting? And that was really the time where I said, fuck it, YOLO. I guess I'm just going to push the plug on Occult Media in that way so that I can allow the communication flow and the groundingness of this building to just really develop the way that it can. So I feel that for you with the whole like Mars and Gemini, like this in the 11th house. Yeah, it's definitely something for you to just connect and talk. And that's what you need right now. Yeah. Yeah. So, Brittany, thank you so much for being here. This is so amazing. I know this is not going to be the last time y'all hear her, so I will make sure to have all her links down below for you guys to go ahead and check her out. Besides that, thank you so much for listening and receiving this download of communication between me and Brittany, and I will catch you guys at our next episode.
Yes.
Bye, guys.